welcome to the Huntsman World Senior Games Active Life. My name is Kyle Case, and I'll be your host on this amazing journey as we attempt to help you get the most out of your life. Joining me in the studio today is my co-pilot, Jeff Harding. Jeff, how are you today?
I'm great, Kyle, and yourself?
I'm good.
You're looking well. You're looking really well. You have that glow about you.
I'm not pregnant, but I feel good.
I'm glad it's not that glow you have about you.
Must be a different glow.
Yes, let's hope so.
So, Jeff, we call our show The Active Life.
We went through a long process to decide what it should be called, and that was the name.
Well, we felt like that kind of brought to the forefront the issues that we wanted to talk about and kind of the service that we wanted to offer. And we've talked about a wide variety of different things, from diet to exercise to smiling to, we've talked about a lot of different things. Music, all kinds of different things, and it's been fun. Today I want to talk about 5 things that you should never do before you work out.
This is important because I probably am doing all 5. So
well, let's see if we can figure out which of the things you need to stop before you work out.
Okay.
Now there's an implication that there's a workout afterwards.
Okay. That's the catch. There's always a catch.
I know that you work out. Every day you work out. So that's great. So let's see if you need to stop doing some of these things.
At least exercise every day.
You exercise. That's a workout. I call that a workout. That's good. Okay, 5 things. Number 1, do not oversleep.
Right before you work out.
Right before you work out.
So after you work out, it's okay to oversleep.
I think it's okay afterwards.
Okay.
But beforehand...
Why is it bad to oversleep before you work out?
Well, so they say that there's nothing wrong with taking a short nap in order to just recharge your batteries. But anything more than about 30 minutes, research has shown it actually has the opposite effect. You end up being more tired than you were before you slept. And so if you're trying to get ready for a workout, sleeping more than 30 minutes is not going to get you ready.
Because then your batteries are depleted instead of recharged.
Right.
Okay.
So there's one thing. Do you do that?
Well, I guess you could say that because I usually do it. I get up at 4:30 in the morning to do my exercises. So I'm probably oversleeping, but I'm only getting about 6 hours during the night.
Now, here's my question. When you do because you go walking almost every lunch hour, are you sleeping before that?
I plead the 5th.
That was a good, safe answer. No, I'm not. I love that you are able to go out there and do that. I think that's great. We should do more of that. We should follow your example a little bit more. But anyway, another thing that you shouldn't do. Do you know what HIIT is? HIIT. Have you ever heard that?
I haven't.
High intensity interval training.
Okay.
You've heard that?
I've not heard the acronym, but I've heard it all set out.
Okay. All right. So they recommend that doing HIIT cardio before you lift weights is not very beneficial. And the reason for that is kind of what you would think. You use up all your energy.
And your heart is already stressed, and then to put greater stress on it.
Right. And you just run out of gas.
So
it's designed to deplete you.
Right.
So if you want to go in and lift weights, which is, I guess when I say a workout, I'm more talking about lifting weights than I am running or walking. But yeah, you just kind of run out of juice, and then you go in to lift weights, and you don't have the strength that you need to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. So you should avoid HIIT cardio.
I promise to do that.
You promise to do that.
I promise to do that.
Here's another one. Don't overdo stimulants.
So I shouldn't look at a pretty girl just before a different kind of stimulant?
I'm pretty sure. It's a different. Yeah, different kind of stimulant.
Okay.
Yes. So there's nothing wrong with taking a pre-workout supplement. A lot of times a little chocolate or something to give yourself a little boost. That's normal and that's okay.
But avoid like the 5-hour energy or the Red Bull or those kinds of things.
Too much can lead to rapid heartbeat, nausea, anxiety, and a feeling of illness, none of which promotes
good health.
The idea of I want to go work out, I want to go lift weights, right?
Well, I don't do any of those. So we're good there.
Okay, so you're good there. Good. Okay, number 4, do not overeat just before you go lift weights.
I can't. If I would not be able to lift or work out if I overate.
And for all the reasons, all the things that happen to you are all the reasons that you're not. It's not recommended that you do that.
Everybody's arms tired from lifting all that food to their mouth.
That's right. So the pre-workout nutrition is essential, and that's important. But overdoing it, like anything, too much of any good thing is too much. So eating too much food too close to a workout can cause stomach cramps, pain, and nausea. none of which are conducive to a killer training session. And in addition, if your stomach is overburdened with digesting a large amount of food, then more blood will be directed to your stomach than to your muscles.
Even my walks at lunch, I won't eat right before my lunchtime walks.
So you feel that.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the last one. And really, this is the most important one. This is the only reason why I wanted to share this today. Okay. And you'll see why.
And is there anybody in particular that you want to make sure hears this message?
I just if anyone's listening.
Somebody named Judy, maybe?
Maybe Judy should hear this. Here's what you should not do before you go lift weights.
Okay.
You should not stretch.
Interesting.
Now, if you've ever listened to the show, it comes up all the time how much I just really love to stretch, right?
Well, Kyle, if he does the back bend, is kind of square. I mean, he's not real limber.
I'm not very limber. I'm not very
saying
flexible.
That mine isn't. Mine is as well. I mean, mine is, don't get me wrong, mine is too.
So here's the deal. For a very long time, it was thought that it was proper weightlifting protocol to stretch your muscles before you went in and lifted weights. Mm-hmm. We've heard that for years. That's kind of almost common knowledge.
Right.
But in recent years, scientists have discovered that this is actually counterproductive. Not only can stretching a cold muscle lead to injuries, such as pulls and strains, but also, in addition, it can actually decrease your strength in exercises involving muscles that have been stretched.
You know what the truth is I actually heard that a while ago. So I always do my stretching. I do my stretching after my exercise.
Yeah, I didn't see anything about stretching afterwards.
Yeah, I think that's okay.
There probably was something there, but I just somehow was not able to see it.
The computers went down, the servers went down, something went down, right?
Happened. Anyway, 5 things to keep in mind when you get ready to go do a workout.
Great information.
With lifting weights or resistance training. So something to keep in mind.
Excellent research.
Very good. Today, Jeff, we have a very special guest. Cliff Holt is joining us in the studio today. He's the owner of both Hurricane Family Pharmacy as well as Gunnison Family Pharmacy and Floral. So a very successful business owner. That's great. In addition to that, he teaches classes to the senior community on diabetes and cardiovascular health. He's also a 2-time Ironman.
Yes, he is.
Now, Cliff, these are the full Ironman.
He actually did the inaugural St. George Ironman.
That's right. Kyle and Jeff, good to be with you. I didn't know what I was doing. I accidentally just showed up one morning and boom, I was there.
Yeah, you just happened to have a wetsuit on because I saw you because I was working the swim venue that day.
You were. That's right. You were there. That's an amazing thing to swim.
May I say that he looks excellent in a wetsuit.
That was a couple of years ago.
No, Thanks, that is incredible. I mean, to pull off a full Ironman is an amazing feat, and to have done it twice is just incredible. Congratulations.
Thank you.
One more thing that I think is worth noting, this is probably the most important thing, and that is that Cliff is a husband, a father to 9 children, and a grandfather to 5. So
the biggest accomplishment right there.
Absolutely.
That is.
Absolutely. So we want to talk about a lot of things, but since we're talking about family, how old is your oldest?
32.
Okay, excellent. Mm-hmm. 32, and the youngest?
19.
Okay, so you're kind of towards the end of
We're done, yeah.
Things. Well, that's great.
That's like
a
one
lot
a
of
year.
Kids, Cliff.
That was. It's a merged family, I'll tell you that.
Okay.
We kind of cheated a little bit, but Pam and I, we have 9 between us. And
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Wonderful. And 5 grandkids, so congratulations.
Thank you. They're
that's
awesome.
Great.
I do have more grandkids than you.
You do?
I have 9.
Count them all up.
Really? Well, in a few years, we might be having one every month or 2.
But I only have 2 kids, so you'll probably beat me.
That's true.
Well, we're glad that you could be here with us, Cliff. And like I said, we want to talk about a number of different things, but let's start with your profession. You are a pharmacist. And so tell us just a little bit about some of the biggest issues, or maybe the one biggest issue that you see with seniors and when it comes to their prescriptions, and just what are issues that you see out there? What are things that people need to be aware of?
Well, probably the biggest issue is adherence or compliance to medications. There's a lot of reasons why people don't take medicine exactly the way it's prescribed. And you got to remember that every drug that we sell in the pharmacy has side effects. And you can get those side effects after taking 1 or 2 doses.
Yeah.
But the desired effect doesn't happen a lot of times until you take it consistently day after day for a few weeks at a time. And so we see a lot of seniors that either maybe forget to take their medications as prescribed, or they're trying to maybe save a few dollars every month, and so they'll take them just kind of sporadically. Mm-hmm. And so the bad thing is our senior patients in this case are having the side effects and not the benefits that the drug was given to them in the first place.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You know, I've seen that in my own life. My mom's on thyroid replacement, and if you read the bottle, it says take on an empty stomach. But she has it with her morning pills, most of which need to be taken with food in her pill minder. So she takes it with food, where it really should be taken on an empty stomach to get the full benefit from the thyroid medication.
That's exactly right, Jeff. So there's some drugs, need to be taken with food. And like thyroid, for instance, a little bit of a change in dose can make a huge difference in your body.
Yeah.
And so if you took that like after every breakfast, it really depends on what you had for breakfast. If you had cereal one day, the thyroid would be absorbed differently. If you had pancakes one day or no breakfast one day, it would be absorbed differently as well. So on certain drugs, it's critical, especially with thyroid. It's a great example. Take it before the meal, at least a half hour before, and then your stomach is the same every time you take it, right? It's completely empty.
So you're getting the same benefit from it.
Same absorption. That's exactly right.
So you really need to read the directions, because it's written right on the bottle.
Right.
But again, most most often, like my mother, didn't bother to read the bottle.
Or talk to your pharmacist.
They have that consultation area, don't they?
Well, we have a consultation area, but if you come into our store, we've got them all over the place. We have 3 or 4 pharmacists in the pharmacy at one time, almost every day during the week. And it's not and that's by design. It's not by accident. We want our pharmacists out front. We've been doing this since day one, and we talk to hundreds of people every single day in our stores.
Wow. Well, that's awesome. That's great advice, and something definitely to think about for all of us, not just for certain age groups, but for everybody. Follow the directions, just like we're always taught from grade school on up. Follow the instructions, right? Read the instructions.
Did you ever have one of those tests where the teacher gives you a sheet of things, and there's all the weird things you have to do, and the very bottom says, "Don't do anything." Put your paper to the side. Don't do anything. And if you didn't read the instructions first, it said read everything, read all the instructions, and then go back and complete. Well, at the bottom it says don't do anything. So I read
everybody's always erasing halfway through that.
At one point, it says stand up and tell the teacher I'm almost done. So half the class, I'm almost done, teacher. They're working their way down.
So yes, definitely follow and read the instructions. That's great advice. Very important. What's another issue that you see with people? Well,
the most basic thing is remembering to take your medication, right? So guess what the average person in this country, how often they fill their 30-day maintenance medication prescription. So they're getting 30 days worth of tablets, taking it every day. Guess how often they actually fill that?
Every 45 days?
44 days. Yeah. Jeff, you've heard me talk about this before.
Actually, no, I was just guessing.
That was really good. So that's the average person refills their medication every 44 days. So what's that telling you? We're taking our medication about 70% of the time, right?
So are you finding that people are taking it and then skipping a day and then taking it, or are they taking it for 30 days but then not finding time to get by the pharmacy, and maybe life happens and a couple of weeks pass and then all of a sudden they realize, oh my gosh, I haven't filled my prescription? Which are you seeing more of, or is it a combination of both?
We see that too, Kyle, but it's certainly the first is the majority of the time. And I'm a classic example of this. I know what these things do. And I don't take a lot of drugs. I don't take any medications, but I take a lot of supplements, nutrients. And so I know how important it is to take them. And so before I had them in bottles like most people do, and I thought I was doing a really good job. Well, we've got this machine that we can actually put medications in these little pouches, like a medicine pouch,
right,
and customize it. And so it tells you what time to take it, which day of the week. And it comes in one continuous roll, if you can kind of visualize this. And so in this case, if you forget to take your medication, you simply look at the pouch and say, oh, today's the 15th, but it's my 10 o'clock medication's here, and it's 4 o'clock.
And so you forgot it. Yeah.
So I put my supplements in this pack, and I was as guilty as anybody.
Yeah.
And so this way I know. And so there's some things we do that we can really help our population, not just their seniors, but anybody, to remember to take their medications.
So you talked about this pack. What other tips do you have? What things can people do to make sure that they're staying on track?
If you can just tie it to something else in your lifestyle, whether you have it around the kitchen table where you're going to eat breakfast in the morning, or you have some system so when you leave at night to go out to dinner, you remember to take them when you get home. Mm-hmm. These are the things, life gets in the way, and we just all forget things, and certainly our medication, taking that correctly, is one of those.
That's true.
Well, you're listening to the Huntsman World Senior Games Active Life, and we are visiting with Cliff Holt, and he is enlightening us, helping us understand better the importance of following the instructions with any prescriptions or drugs that we may be taking. And he's brought up some very important points. One is to just remember to read the instructions and remember to take your medicine as it's been prescribed. So very important things. Anything else that just kind of stands out as common mistakes that you're seeing that people make that could be detrimental to their health?
Well, we see this a lot where people will say, well, I don't feel like I need that medication anymore.
Okay.
And so they'll take themselves off or cut their dose way down. And there's so many disease states where you really can't feel that you need that medication. Like, Jeff, your thyroid's a great example. You could go off that for 3 or 4 days or even a week before you start really feeling some side effects. But the problem is all your organs are dependent on that thyroid hormone, mm-hmm. right? And so those organs aren't getting the hormone they need, so your organs aren't functioning like they should optimally, but you can't feel it until a little bit too late.
Yeah, well, in my case, I had thyroid cancer, so I had to have a radiated iodine pill, but mm-hmm. before you take it, they have you go off the pill, and they have you not take any medication for a while so that the radiated iodine will be more effective. So they had me go off for 2 weeks, and about 10 days into it is when it really hit me hard. I mean, I noticed I was sluggish. My cognitive process was way bad, but it took that long before I felt the physical manifestation of what was going on inside my body. So you're absolutely right.
Yep, that's not a good thing.
No. Except that the doctor wanted me to do it, so in that case it was needful.
In that case, it was the thing. But.
It was needful. I something that concerns me is a lot of people will have their prescriptions filled at different pharmacies, and there's different doctors, and not everybody knows. I mean, there's not one central person that knows everything that the person's taking. Can you talk to that and the dangers of that?
That is a huge problem. So that's one great thing about this MedPack, the Family Pharmacy MedPack program we talked about in the pouches. We have the labels on this box, and so we actually have the patient take this to the doctors. And most people, when they get to a certain age, 55, 60 years old, they have multiple providers, right? They have a family practice guy, they probably have a cardiologist, maybe a rheumatologist. And so sometimes not everybody knows what everybody's doing. And so this is one great way, is to take your med list in every time you go to the doctor and show them everything you're taking, because they might only know part of those things.
And there are some things that just really clash.
Oh, big time. There are big time drug interactions. Can I give you a quick 30-second story?
Yeah, please do.
So this is a few years ago, and this gentleman came in and with a new prescription from the doctor and said, hey, Cliff, will you make sure this isn't going to interact with any of my other medications? So I looked at his other 5 meds, no problems. Gave him number 6. Came back 2 weeks later, really, really mad at me and said, Cliff, you didn't tell me about this drug interaction. I've been in the hospital for the last 7 days.
No.
And I went through again. I'm panicking, right? And I'm thinking, shoot, did I miss something? And so I go through his list and I said, you're fine. There's no interaction with this. And then he told me the interaction he had. It turned out he was getting 3 other medications from a mail order pharmacy I had no idea about.
He didn't give you the complete list.
No. And so I didn't have the whole list. And so, yeah, he had a severe interaction with 2 medications, and he was in the hospital for a week.
And that's the problem. I mean, my father-in-law was a pharmacist, so I know that they worry about that. And you'll get warning labels and things if you do it. But when you do multiple locations, which is okay, you can do that. But somebody needs to know the big picture.
Right.
And for my money, the pharmacist is about as good a person as any, because they truly know the drugs and they've studied the chemical reactions more so than the doctors. I mean, they get it, but not to the level of the pharmacist.
That's right. I mean, we have the tools to do that, and that's what we're paid to do.
That's our responsibility.
That's your responsibility.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, that's fantastic. Great advice. Thank you, Cliff, for sharing that with us. I want to shift gears just a little bit and talk about some of your athletic accomplishments. So we know that you've participated in a couple of different Ironman competitions and races. Let's talk a little bit about that for a minute. So the first one was the inaugural St. George Ironman. Is that correct?
That was my second one.
That was your second one, okay.
I was only ever going to do one, just see if I could do it, right? So as most of the guys that are out there on the course, they start with a sprint, just a small little 1 hour event. You swim 500 meters and bike 5 or 10 miles and run a 5K. And then you double that, and that's the Olympic distance. Right. And there's a lot of those events down here at Sand Hollow Reservoir and through Hurricane. And so I did a couple of sprints. Then I did probably about 15, 18 of the Olympic events down here. Oh, wow.
So you're a triathlete.
I'd done a few of them. And so, and then you would think, well, I should double that and try a half Ironman. And so I did a couple of those. I went over to Kona, Hawaii, and did one, which was incredible.
Wow.
Incredibly scary. It was the first triathlon I did where they wouldn't let you wear a wetsuit. No wetsuits allowed in Hawaii races. And so here I am out in 100 foot of ocean water and start panicking.
So I didn't realize that there were no wetsuits allowed.
If the water temperature is above 70 or 75. Anyway, in Hawaii, it's always above the threshold. And so there's no wetsuits allowed in an Ironman event.
And is that because your body temperature gets too hot? Or?
Well, I think they just think you don't need it. And so the insulation isn't a problem. And so they say no wetsuit. And so for me, that's my big floaty device, right? I think I'm not going to sink. I got all this rubber. And I'm a 6'7" guy. And so there's a lot of rubber around my body in a wetsuit. And so anyway, so that was and so then you think, well, I'm going to try one Ironman to see if I could do it. So I registered for Panama City, Florida, and it was a Saturday race. There's only a couple Saturday races in the country. Yeah. And I wanted to do that. So I got into that and tried that and finished that, had a great time, and was never going to do another one again until they had one in our own backyard. Right. So what are you going to do? Say I'm not going to do it?
And then that's what Jeff and I said.
Yeah,
you were the smart ones.
We actually did say that, so I guess it was an option.
But then it turns out to be one of the hardest Ironman when they did it. It was one of the hardest Ironman as far as the elevation changes and the hills and so forth.
It was everything. I mean, the water temperature that first year was, I think, 52 degrees. They had 50 ambulances for guys freezing to death in the water. And
that's why we had that cold spill just before.
We did. It was crazy. And then, the elevation on the bike and the run, too, wasn't like any other Ford Ironman event. And so it scared everybody away.
Yeah.
So we now do a half Ironman here in St. George, which goes very well, and we just had it a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, we did.
Have you competed since the inaugural event?
I haven't done a full one since then. And I've got a little knee issue that's keeping me from running that half marathon now, so I've got to get that fixed. And I hope to do it next year. We'll see.
Well, good luck.
Now, how old are you, Cliff?
Almost 53.
Okay, well, we have a triathlon in the Huntsman World Senior Games.
Really, I should look into that. Am I old enough? Do I qualify?
You only have to be 50.
50? I thought it'd be 55.
No, 50 and over. So
really?
we're ready for you.
How long have we been friends and you haven't known that?
A long time, but I just always assumed it was 55, I guess.
You need to speak up.
My wife is actually doing it this year for the first time, and she's in the pickleball.
Okay,
and so
great.
she's got a partner, and they're going to go out and hopefully rule the pickleball courts.
Awesome. Well, I hope that she has success. And we'd love to have you come out
certainly.
and warm that knee up just a little bit. Okay. We do a sprint distance, so like you said, it's kind of a shorter distance. It wouldn't be overly taxing on you, but it might be fun to just kind of get involved and
Is there still room
to
sign up for that?
Oh, yeah.
Pickleball is closed, but the triathlon actually has space.
Until September.
Okay. Good. September. That sounds like fun.
And just something for you to think about. We'd love to extend a personal invitation at least.
Good. Thank you.
So just when you're competing in a triathlon, and for those who maybe are not familiar with a triathlon, that's 3 events rolled into one. You start with a swim, you transition to a bike, and then you finish up with a run. When you're training, do you focus on any one of these areas, or do you try to get an even mix, or how does that work from a training standpoint? Well,
it kind of depends on what your strength is, which sport you're strong in. And so really, you need to be well balanced, but you're working out 6 days a week, and you're probably doing 2 different training events a day. So you might swim and then hop on the bike, or might bike and then just go out and run a little bit, and then you step up and you don't overwork your body. That's critical. You don't do that for injury reasons and other reasons, and so So really, the fitness is one aspect, right, of a big race like that. The mental aspect is a huge different arena
giant,
completely.
isn't it?
And then the third, which a lot of people forget, is the nutrition, and that is critical too.
Yeah.
If you don't have the right nutrition on Saturday morning, you should just probably stay in bed. And so,
Okay, I'll do that. Because I often skip breakfast on
You
Saturday morning.
volunteer for
I
that,
skip
right?
breakfast on Saturday morning many days.
Well,
Yeah.
Cliff, that's great. Great advice all around. Thank you for sharing your expertise with us as a pharmacist and a professional in that arena. And as an athlete, that's great too. It's exciting to see people out and being engaged and really participating in the active life. So thanks for your example.
you bet. Thank you.
That's about all the time that we have, but thank you, Cliff, for joining us. We appreciate it. Hopefully we can have you back sometime.
My pleasure. Just ask anytime.
I think
Wonderful.
that some more topics we can cover in that field.
Yeah, I think so. Well, Jeff, we've been talking about it for weeks now. You know, online registration is open for the triathlon, not for pickleball. Unfortunately, that's closed, and a couple of our other sports. But for information on the sports and how to get involved with the games, you can visit our website at www.seniorgames.net. There on the website, you will find rules and schedules. You can register right there and get additional information about how the games run. Also, if you're into social media, you can check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/World Senior Games, or you can even follow us on Twitter, Jeff.
We tweet now.
We do, yeah. Our handle is at World Senior Game
Singular.
with no S. It's
Right.
a singular event because of the number of characters that they allow. If you've heard something today that you like, or if you've been inspired by what you've learned, shoot us an email at activelife@seniorgames.net. And of course, tune in next Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Mountain Time or AM 1450 or FM 93.1 for those listening live. And here's your quote for the day from the great humorist Milton Berle: "If opportunity doesn't knock, build a door."
Amen.
Until next Thursday, stay active.
Vibrant.
Stay active.
Vibrant.
Stay active.
Vibrant.
Stay active.